Two dogs helping Aransas County deputies in a manhunt are killed over the weekend, what officials believe happened. Plus, why Southside neighborhood says they're warning drivers in the area. And what a federal judge says, leaving some dreamers in Texas breathing a sigh of relief. We begin tonight in Aransas County, where two dogs assisting sheriff's deputies in a manhunt for what officials say were illegal immigrants were killed. The Aransas County Sheriff's Office says 6 people were arrested just north of Holiday Beach yesterday. In tonight's top story, our Taylor Alanis explains what exactly happened.
Yeah, Michelle, that manhunt started as a traffic stop on Highway 35, but then the black truck sped off and went through a fence line before stopping. That's when sheriff's deputies say at least 14 to 16 people scattered into the brush. The Department of Public Safety, Texas Parks and Wildlife, and Refugio rancher Joe Brayman were called in to help search. Brayman provides assistance, including dogs that are trained to help law enforcement. And this time around, Brayman sent in 2 non-aggressive dogs, no-bite dogs, in fact, that often help find individuals with Alzheimer's and dementia. With agencies both on foot and horseback, they were able to find and arrest 5 people, but a third yelled out in Spanish, "If you want me, come and find me." That's when 2 of the dogs were found dead nearby, and the 6th person was arrested.
I overheard one of the suspects saying he was gang affiliated. You know, just the fact that we took those people off the street, you know, it was just unfortunately a canine that lost their life.
Sheriff's deputies say one of the suspects had apparently strangled the dogs with their collars that had trackers on them. After being detained and interviewed by U.S. Border Patrol officials, it was determined that the people came from Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras. The 5 men and 1 woman were taken away from Aransas County Detention Center to U.S. Customs and Immigration. Michelle?
So sad to hear that. Thanks a lot, Taylor. Well, people in a Southside neighborhood are warning drivers of a dangerous curve in that area. They say people are speeding down Bellmead Street, ignoring signs and speed bumps. Our Madeline Dart has more on what neighbors are saying.
Arrows and speed limit signs ignored by drivers in the area.
It's frightening.
Teresa Zuniga says people speed through the curve on Bellmead Street, causing a multitude of accidents.
People have crashed, they've hit the telephone pole down the street and gotten injured and caused damage to houses.
Even Teresa's 7-year-old son Max notices drivers taking dangerous turns.
Just not any speeding, street racing.
Adding everyone needs to follow the speed limit.
If there was 35 speed limit, you could go like 35 speed limit.
Zuniga and neighbors adding they're concerned for others' safety after witnessing horrific accidents along the street.
It's frustrating because my parents live here. My children come and visit here.
Teresa says while speed bumps and signs have helped, she and her neighbors still have a message for drivers in the area.
Go slower, you know, and be aware that, you know, there are curves and there are things that they have to be aware of down the road, and just to go slower and kind of look out and watch out for kids and people in the area.
Again, that was our Madeline Dart reporting. In news on the border, a letter from the Texas Education Agency about funding for schooling children in migrant shelters highlights the ongoing disagreement between federal and state agencies. State education officials said, according to Texas law, public schools can only fund education in shelters where kids are held by federal agencies through external sources like tuition. They add that the responsibility of educating these children remains solely with the federal government. Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services mandates that the shelters must provide children with schooling on weekdays as well as special education services. Well, a new sign of relief for dreamers living in limbo under the DACA program. A federal judge in Texas says DACA is here to stay. Juan Rodriguez shares how this impacts thousands of people living right here in our state.
It had just been a year since my mom was recovering from breast cancer, and so I was still supporting my family a lot financially and just thinking like I would lose my status.
Estefany de la Cruz has worked hard under the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, known as DACA.
To put it simply, just employment authorization, and it helped me be able to help my family financially.
Friday, a federal Texas judge denied a lawsuit requested by Attorney General Ken Paxton, trying to end the Obama-era program.
A lot of these attacks against DACA have actually come from our state.
U.S. District Judge Andrew Hayden ruled that Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton waited too long to file the lawsuit. But the Office of the Attorney General says they are not backing down, saying the lawsuit is vital to restoring the rule of law to our nation's immigration system.
It means a victory and means that we can, for the time being, help others renew their DACA permits.
However, this decision leaves the long-term status of DACA vulnerable to further legal action.
I mean, I will be able to renew for 2 years, but 2 years go by fast.
Hopefully they do get the help that they need. Well, the Aransas County Democratic Party welcomed Lupe Valdez back to Corpus Christi today. She is the Democratic nominee for Texas governor in the 2018 election. American law enforcement officials served as sheriff of Dallas County from 2005 to last year. And at today's campaign, Valdez discussed that if she is elected, she wants to focus on health care and education.
I'm the 8th child of migrant workers, and because of a quality public education, I was able to have doors open up for me that otherwise would have never been open. I want to provide that same opportunity for the everyday Texans.
Valdez, an incumbent